Hello, welcome to the Daily News Ukraine channel. Today is February 13th and our daily review of news about Ukraine. A mission of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, headed by Gavin Gray, is starting discussions with the representatives of the Ukrainian authorities as part of preparations for the revision of the monitoring program. The relevant statement was made by IMF resident representative for Ukraine Varim Stepanyan, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. According to Stepanyan, on February 13, 2023, the IMF mission headed by Gavin Gray is starting discussions with the representatives of the Ukrainian authorities regarding preparations for the revision of the monitoring program with the involvement of the IMF Executive Board. A reminder that the National Bank of Ukraine, NBU, expects to sign a new program with the IMF at the beginning of the second quarter of 2023. Russian barracks and 4 trucks loaded with ammunition have been hit in the urban-type settlement of Nikolsky near the city of Mariupol. The relevant statement was made by advisor to Mariupol Mayor Petro Andriushenko on Telegram, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. Andriushenko posted a photograph of the building with its roof destroyed, where Russian invaders had been accommodated. A reminder that, around 10 p.m., February 12, 2023, 3 loud explosions rocked the city of Mariupol. Reportedly, Russian dispositions in school premises were hit in the village of Nikolsky. Detonation occurred after the explosions. Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov has left for another meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group at Ramstein Air Base to discuss the protection of the Ukrainian sky, the development of tank coalition, and the formation of ammunition stocks. The relevant statement was made by Ukrainian Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov on Facebook, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. For the 9th time, I have the honor of leading a joint team of representatives of the Ministry of Defense, Intelligence, the General Staff and our diplomats, which will work intensively with partners in the coming days. The pace is extremely high, Reznikov wrote. In his words, the key items on the agenda are the protection of the Ukrainian sky, including through the involvement of aviation platform, the development of tank coalition, the formation of the margin of safety in terms of ammunition, training programs for the Ukrainian military, and the stability of support, such as logistics, maintenance, repairs, and the practical implementation of the military Schengen. According to Reznikov, a number of conversations were held with partners the day before, and their involvement and support make him feel optimistic. A reminder that the 9th meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group at Ramstein Air Base has been scheduled for February 14, 2023. Partner countries are expected to announce the number of tanks that they are ready to provide to Ukraine and their delivery terms. Russia is preparing another massive missile attack. Given the tendency to take a break of about 2 weeks between attacks, Russian troops are likely to launch another missile attack on February 24. The relevant statement was made by head of the United Coordinating Press Center of the Southern Defense Forces Natalia Humeniuk during a nationwide telethon, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. Talking of time, distance from one massive missile attack to another, it is usually up to 2 weeks. We can notice that, from the previous one to the next one, it is exactly February 24. Keeping in mind the enemy's obsession with sacred dates, it is necessary to stay alert, Humeniuk told. In her words, Russia's next attack can be both widespread and pinpoint. A reminder that, on February 10, 2023, during Russia's another massive missile attack, Ukraine's defense forces destroyed 61 out of 71 enemy missiles. Denmark has handed over all of its Caesar self-propelled howitzers to Ukraine. The relevant statement was made by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry on Twitter, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. Denmark has given Ukraine all of its Caesar self-propelled howitzers. A true friend who knows that our fight is Europe's fight. Tack, Denmark, the ministry wrote. A reminder that, in January 2023, the government of Denmark decided to transfer 19 Caesar self-propelled howitzers ordered from France to Ukraine. Denmark has given Ukraine all of its Caesar self-propelled howitzers. A true friend who knows that our fight is Europe's fight. Tack, Denmark. pic.twitter.com/x4mp65yvfo, Defense of Ukraine, at DefenseU, February 13, 2023 Photo, General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The Ukrainian army's breakthrough in Zaporizhia and Luhansk would seriously challenge the viability of Russia's land bridge with Crimea and further undermine Russia's professed war aim of liberating the Donbass. The relevant statement was made by the Ministry of Defense of the United Kingdom on Twitter, referring to the latest defense intelligence update, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. As of February 7, 2023, open-source imagery indicated Russia had likely further bolstered defensive fortifications in central Zaporizhia region, southern Ukraine, particularly near the village of Tarasivka. As of January 8, 2023, Russia had established defensive fortifications between the towns of Vasilivka and Orakhiv, Zaporizhia region. According to the UK intelligence, despite the current operational focus on central Donbass, Russia remains concerned about guarding the extremities of its extended front line. This is demonstrated by continued construction of defensive fortifications in Zaporizhia and Luhansk regions and deployments of personnel. Russia's front line in Ukraine amounts to approximately 1,288 kilometers, with the Russian-occupied Zaporizhia Oblast front line at 192 kilometers. A major Ukrainian breakthrough in Zaporizhia would seriously challenge the viability of Russia's land bridge linking Russia's Rostov region and Crimea. Ukrainian success in Luhansk would further undermine Russia's professed war aim of liberating the Donbass. Deciding which of these threats to prioritise countering is likely one of the central dilemmas for Russian operational planners, the UK intelligence noted. A reminder that, according to the UK intelligence, over the past 2 weeks, Russia has likely suffered its highest rate of casualties since the first week of the invasion of Ukraine. The uptick in Russian casualties is likely due to a range of factors including lack of trained personnel, coordination, and resources across the front. In the morning of February 13, 2023, Russian troops again shelled the Kharkiv region's city of Kupiansk, having caused damage to the housing stock. The relevant statement was made by Kharkiv Regional Military Administration head Ola Sinihubov on Telegram, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. Residential houses were hit in the city, and fires broke out. Fortunately, no casualties were reported, Sinihubov wrote. Over the past day, the enemy has launched artillery and mortar strikes on at least 10 border settlements in the Kharkiv region's Chuiv and Kupiansk districts. Such settlements as Kupiansk, Vovchansk, and Verikna suffered the most. The damage was caused mainly to detached houses there. In Vovchansk, a 47-year-old civilian was injured as Russian projectiles hit a detached house. Demining efforts continue in the Kharkiv region. Over the past day, explosives experts have neutralized 39 dangerous objects. Photo, Ola Sinihubov, Telegram. On February 12, 2023, Russian troops opened fire on the Kherson region 42 times. Casualties among civilians were reported. The relevant statement was made by Kherson Regional Military Administration on Telegram, and Ukrinform correspondent reports. Russian invaders used multiple launch rocket systems, MLRS, tanks, and mortars. The enemy also launched a missile strike on the region. The city of Kherson came under enemy fire 9 times. Russian projectiles hit a cinema and concert hall, warehouse facilities, residential houses, and the adjacent area of Kherson Regional Military Administration. 3 civilians have been killed in Russia's shelling of the Kherson region over the past day. 1 more person was injured. A reminder that, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, on February 12, 2023, Russian troops launched 4 missile strikes and opened fire with MLRS 85 times. Around 2200 hours yesterday, 3 loud explosions rang out in Mariupol. Russian locations in Nikolsky village and in a school were reported to be hit. Around 2200 hours yesterday, at least 3 loud explosions were heard in Manhush, Nikolsky, and all districts of Mariupol city, Petro Andriushenko, advisor to Mariupol mayor, posted on Telegram. It is known that Russian locations in Nikolsky village and in school number 3 were hit. As reported, the Russian invaders reinforced checkpoints at the entries to Mariupol with sniper points. Russia's aggression caused one of the biggest humanitarian disasters in Mariupol. The city was almost 90% destroyed as a result of enemy shelling. Currently, more than 100,000 residents remain in the blocked city. The invaders are turning Mariupol and the surrounding villages into a military logistics hub of the Russian army. OL. Yesterday, February 12, Russian troops killed one civilian and wounded another in Donetsk region. On February 12, the Russians killed one resident of Donetsk region in Chasiv Yar. Another person was injured in the region. Pavlo Kirilenko, head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration, posted on Telegram. It is still impossible to establish the exact number of casualties in Mariupol and Volnovakha, he noted. As reported, according to the General Staff data, Russian troops launched 4 missile strikes and 85 MLRS attacks on February 12. OL. Today we were talking about those news. IMF mission starts its work in Ukraine. Russian barracks, trucks with ammunition hit near Mariupol. Minister Reznikov leaves for 9th meeting of Ukraine Defense Contact Group. Russia may launch massive missile attack on February 24, Humeniuk. Denmark hands over all of its Caesar howitzers to Ukraine. Russian operational planners struggle with deciding which threats to prioritise countering on front, UK intel. Kharkiv region's Kupiansk again struck by Russians this morning. Enemy attacks Kherson region 42 times, casualties reported. Loud explosions heard in Mariupol yesterday. Russian locations reported to be hit. Russian army kills civilian, injures another in Donetsk region.